Hey guys, welcome to a brand new book review, and today we're going to be reviewing Web of Lies by Beverly Nadeau. But just before I get started, I think it's a good idea to read the back of the book first. So, here we go. Femi is in trouble. He's got involved with a gang of older boys at school, and he's having to tell so many lies to his family that he can hardly keep his head straight. His sister, Sade, knows that something is going on, but she doesn't want to worry their father, not while he's waiting to hear whether the family is going to be granted asylum in Britain. But when the violence spirals out of control, Femi has to start telling the truth, even though he may be putting his family in danger. After reading the back of the book, you can already tell that it's going to be one of those books that will keep the reader invested in the story because of the way Femi's involved with the gang. He has to start lying to his family, but then at the end he can't keep the lies going, and so he has to start telling the truth. But if he tells the truth, he's putting his family in grave danger. And just these elements are really made the story good to read, really interesting to read. And I feel like in that aspect of grabbing the reader's attention, the book delivered. So one thing I liked about the book was the fact that some characters were very easy to relate to. For example, Femi and Sade, who were brother and sister in the book, and they did really relatable things. For example, Sade, she since she was the older sister and everything, her dad was counting on her to be very responsible, watch over her little brother, make sure he doesn't get into trouble. And Femi, as the younger sibling, he didn't really like that too much because of the way she was always on his back, which was kind of annoying for him. I also really enjoyed the action scenes, the more violent and intense parts of the book, because of the way they were written. They really grabbed my attention. For example, while Femi was hanging around with the gang, Iro, who's kind of like the boss, you can say, he sent him to this address with a packet. And in exchange for that packet, he would receive an envelope filled with money. And so, while he got the envelope, um, some muggers came up to him and literally took it. And now he had to go back to Iro to tell him that he didn't have the money and everything. And that's when things get a little heated. Femi didn't know who lunged first, but he saw the blade slice across James's chin and the spray of blood arch towards him. In the wrench and tussle that followed, Iro released his clutch, and Femi hurtled onto the armchair. The armrest splintered beneath him, breaking away from the chair. He grabbed one end of the L-shaped baton and edged towards the door. James and Iro were wheezing heavily, each locked around the other as James struggled for the knife. He was trying to say something. It was a grunt, but it sounded to Femi like, "Run!" What happened next was a blur, a flare of metal, and a tangle of jerking elbows, arms, hands. James was sinking, plummeting. So, um, after reading that part of the book, I was even more invested in it because of how interesting and dramatic it got. Like, I wasn't expecting that much to happen, and all of a sudden it's just so interesting, and you want to read more and more. I think I read like 3 or 4 chapters after that just because I wanted to know what was next. And I think the writing really helped it because of the way the descriptions were so detailed sometimes. It was even clearer to see it in your head, and even more it made it even more fun to read. The thing I didn't really like though is that um, the sister Sade, she had 2 chapters to herself, and those 2 chapters were the most boring chapters in the whole book. Basically, what happened was that she was going with her father to visit this aunt that was very close to her deceased mother, and so she had some questions and everything because she wanted to know like how they were together. She wanted to know more about her mother, and so then that aunt of hers brings along this woman that was already getting too close to her father, and so she felt that she wasn't getting enough time with her own father because of how much he was working, but she got even less time because of that woman that was getting too close. And so those two were getting very close, and she was getting very jealous about it. And that's pretty much it. She was just very jealous throughout the two chapters. Uninteresting. I don't feel like it needed two chapters to be to make it clear that she didn't like that woman and that she was jealous. What they could have done with Sade in this book was maybe explore her more, make her more interesting to read than just this girl that wants to hang out more with her father and is jealous about this other this other woman. No, don't do that. Don't. Now something they could have done with Sade was maybe um, make her a bit more curious. Yeah, make her a bit more curious. Like if she felt that something was going on with Femi and that she didn't want to worry her father or to make sure that he's actually not doing anything, um, she could have played the detective a bit, like kind of following him from behind, like checking up on him more than usual. I don't know, just be there more. Just like investigate him pretty much because I feel like that would be way more interesting to read. The two chapters did have some one or two good interesting things to read, I guess, like um, when they were all four watching this little documentary about child soldiers in Sierra Leone. That was interesting to read about. That was pretty much it. It really didn't do much for me. What I did like about her though was that when she was writing those little diary entries at the end of pretty much every chapter, I think, um, those were nice to read. I like those because it kind of gave us an insight of how she saw some situations. Like if um, Femi thought, if the book already described what Femi thought about, it was nice to have the little diary entry to see what she thought about as well. So I think that was really nice. Web of Lies was a very interesting book to read. It was very nice, very intriguing, good storytelling, good writing. So I'd give Web of Lies a nice solid 7 out of 10. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you're new, and see you in the next video.